It's not what you think. I've really been getting the feedback from all of you on my channel, boo. I love, 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 love all of you that you want to know a little bit more about me, my story, and you love my energy and all the things here. So I'm going to try my best to be able to share the shameless sexuality, if you know, you know, about me and my story here overall with sex therapy. So, what up for those of you that are new? Hi, I'm Shamelessly Sexy. Jackie here, she, her are my pronouns. I am a certified sex therapist turned sexual confidence coach, and I make videos about sexual health, wellness, self-care, mental health, astrology. I do tarot, psychic energy reads, which include sexual energy, because if you know, you know. And if you watched that video last week, y'all will have to let me know how you feel about it in the comments below about if you know or how to know if your sexual energy is repressed, baby. So make sure to always stay tuned for my channel here and what's in store in regards of all the things, because I've got a lot of content in store, y'all. Okay, so let's talk about it. How'd you get interested in sex therapy is a question that I get so freaking much, and I'm sick of answering it. So I'm like, let me just make a YouTube live for all of you on here. Oh my god, it's 333 as I say that, and I just kind of like gleeked right there. So clearly some of y'all are thirsty to know why I became a sex therapist and how I got into this. Well, for those of you that don't know my story, you know, growing up, I was always interested about sex. I was always curious about sex. I was asking questions about sex, sexuality, and gender and all these things, right? And I grew up with my mom, who has, you know, 7 brothers, and her parents were survivors from the Holocaust and everything like that. They came over from Poland, and they were forced to be in a work camp. And so a lot of their, you know, Polish traditions came over with them, and a lot of shame and complex trauma and things of that sort. And then my dad's side of the family, he grew up with 5 sisters, and complete opposite, very much so. They didn't have a religion or anything like that. Very spiritual, egalitarian, split tasks of the household and everything along those lines here, okay? And so his dad was like a sous chef in the army. So there was much difference between my mom's side being very traditional and my dad's side being very egalitarian, and my parents probably should not have been together. They've said that before too. But they've been married for, oh my gosh, it'll be like next year. Oh my gosh, 1985. How many years is that, y'all? Like 40? I'm not a math person, clearly. I'm in the helping field for a reason here. But anywho, they were definitely opposites, and they attracted. And so there's like a myth busted there where like opposites don't attract, blah, 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 whatever. And it's like, as long as the values aren't pushed too much, then it can work according to the research. So in case of y'all who wanted to know out there about this too. But so growing up, like I asked a lot of different questions, and I vividly remember, you know, me at the table one day, you know, with my parents, whatever. And I was like, my mom told me, hey, how come, like, hey, Jackie, like, you go do the dishes tonight or whatever. And I was like, what? Like, why can't Joey do the dishes? I always do the effing dishes here. Thank you for all the hearts in the chat here. I love all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was like, why can't my brother Joey do the dishes? And she's like, well, because you're a girl. And I was like, what? And my dad, like, was finishing up his cereal spoon, whatever, dropped it and everything like that in his bowl. And he was like, no, like, Joey, you do the dishes, Jackie, you come outside. I'm going to teach you how to, like, you know, check and put oil in your car and everything like that. I want you kids to be well-rounded, and this is not okay. And so it opened up a lot of conversations about gender, and my mom has definitely done her work and consistently does her work, and she's really learned a lot and understood a lot. So please don't take it as I'm painting her as a villain in this situation. Heck no, yo. So anyway, this is something where with my personal, you know, story and experience, I really got into sex therapy for the gender, and really like gender norms and roles in society. Like that always made me so interested and curious about it. I was like just so fascinated by all these things, and I was just like, oh my gosh, well, I don't really have this like traditional upbringing. Like I have 2 very different worlds together, and then there's like me and my brother here overall, right? And so then when I was an undergrad at college, a lot of my sorority sisters were like, Jackie, oh my gosh, you should be a sex therapist, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, ha, yeah, whatever. That's not a thing. And they were like, what? And that was like the way I blew it off, because I didn't actually think that sex therapy was a thing. I didn't think sex therapy could be something that could actually help people. And that was embedded into my own shame programming and narratives, because I grew up Catholic. So if you know, you know. Nothing against any of you watching this video who may be Catholic and practice. I am not a practicing Catholic person. It's just not my jam. And so so I grew up with a lot of complex trauma and religious trauma based off of sex, sexuality, miscarriage, who can love who. And I would always ask my mom these questions, like after church. I'm like, well, if this person in our family's gay, then like, how come the Bible says that they're bad and everything like that? And so this really illuminated to me and made me see like, holy fucking crap, Jack, you have a shit ton of shame going on over here, okay? And so for a lot of people that don't know out there, shame and sex, they are just connected. Like they are. And this is one of the things that I had to go to therapy for, and I had to work on my own healing journey with this too, of like, why did I think sex therapists weren't a thing? What were the shame narratives that I had inside my head, and why did I think I wouldn't be able to help people with this? And I recently posted on my Instagram, like, I became a certified sex therapist. This happened, 9 years in the making. 9 years, y'all. Yes, 9. I will be doing a different video on that later and share more of my shameless story with that and adventure too, boo. But this is something where essentially, like, people were saying to me in the comments back, like, I remember you talking about this in high school. I was like, holy crap, I don't even remember me talking about this in high school. So I just thought it was really, really funny. I was like, dang, you remember that? Because I don't. And so that was something where when you just kind of know, like, you are meant to do something, you're meant to do something here, right? And so then I also in undergrad, I was applying to be able to go to counseling programs so that I could be a therapist and then be a sex therapist. And I had this epiphany aha moment when I was at my grandma's cabin, lake home up north, whatever you want to call it. And I was sitting on the dock and I was looking out on the water and I was just meditating. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had this epiphany aha moment that so many people get either when they slow down, they're in therapy, they're outside of therapy, someone points something out to them in life, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, were people actually serious? Did they think I could actually do this? Did they really think and believe I could be a sex therapist? And then I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like I had this realization of I need to do this, right? And in undergrad, I worked with folks who had sexual offenses against them. So I use sex positive language on my channel here. And so this is something where I was like, I love my internship. I'm not going to go to grad school. F it. I'm going to get a job here afterwards, right? But if you actually want to be a therapist, you got to go to grad school, y'all. So I'm just saying. And so this was something where I texted all my friends on my flip phone. If you don't know, do y'all remember flip phones back in the day? Let me know. And I texted all of them and I was like, oh my gosh, like, were you serious? Did you really think I could do this? Do you really think I should be like a certified sex therapist? And literally it was unanimous. Every single person, every single friend, y'all texted me back and they were like, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And so I basically started applying to grad school earlier that year in January. And then I stopped my application because I was like, no, I'm going to find a job here. And then that midsummer in like June, July, they were like, hey, the head of the program reached out to me and they're like, hey, I saw that you like halfway completed, your application. Do you want to come interview with us and tell us like why you want to be a part of this graduate school program and why you're interested in clinical mental health counseling? And I will waive the application. You don't have to do any of that. So I was like, sold. Because I was searching for jobs at that time, y'all. And jobs, there was like not a livable wage when it comes to an undergrad with psychology. It was really, really low. And this is something where you have to go on for that master's if you want to do therapy. And so this is something where I learned a lot. And then boom, I went to graduate school. It was really awesome. It was a great experience. There was a lot I learned about myself personally and professionally. And I'm still learning lots about myself too. And so during graduate school, my professors really encouraged me, like, if you can, go to UW Stout, look at that sex therapy coursework certificate, and like get that education right away, because so many people, when they have a niche or something they're really interested in, they rarely ever go back. So take the steps now if you can and do it. And so I did it. And so I have my master's in clinical mental health counseling. I went to UW Stout in Wisconsin for my certificate of sex therapy coursework. I have completed, all my supervision hours when it comes to being a certified sex therapist, working with DSM-5 diagnoses, working on goals, treatment plannings, everything like that. You need, your LPCC. For me, that's my license in the state of Minnesota in order to become a certified sex therapist, because you need that first in order to get like a certificate in anything where you're actually certified. So that's about me and my story. And what the cool thing is, coming full circle, is My therapist at that time previously, what she really encouraged me was when you're dealing with shame, how can you apply some of the things you're learning in therapy to future clients? And so I would write up so many different types of like shame tools and interventions and things. And lots of therapists reach out to me because they're like, oh my gosh, you were talking about shame and sex and how this shows up in all these different areas and stuff. And sex therapy is such a big area where shame is so there and hidden, and people don't even realize how beneath the surface it is. Thank you for the 8 likes. I appreciate all of you here. That's something where the tools that I used in my own therapy are the tools that I've used with my own sex therapy clients. And y'all, I'm moving into sexual confidence coaching because this is legit where I'm wanting to move in 2025, and I am moving in 2025, complete sexual confidence coaching. So I'm excited to share more with all of you about that. And I primarily work with women because a lot of women struggle to talk about sex, ask questions about sex. People laugh when, they talk to their children about sex. And that's shame because they have this shame response of, I'm nervous, or maybe they're blushing in their face or something, right? That's just me when I get passionate talking about something here. If you know, you know. Polish cheeks, if you know, you know. But that's something where people don't even realize how much shame and sex is embedded and how that shows up in relationships and in life too. And so this is where I'm really being called to pivot, and there's power in the pivot in order to move forward with these things that I feel naturally aligned to and gravitated to in my life. And so Mark Dune, I shout out to you if you ever see this live. I think you asked me the question, what type of psychology do you study? I've studied a lot on sex therapy, of course, gender, BDSM, kink, polyamory, couples therapy, different types of information in regards of like consensual, like consent, safe sex, different practices here overall, better sex through mindfulness. There's just so many different things that I've studied in this niche specifically that I love. And then outside of that, I've studied, where are the books around shame and sex and where are the things around shame and sex. And I actually got, the privilege and the opportunity previously a couple years ago to actually teach a CEU training that was 3, hours long. And it was all about like how to build sexual confidence by breaking down shame. And I literally gave all these therapists, there was 100+ PowerPoints full of slides and shit. And I gave all these therapists and people that attended, that specific slide and all those slides and everything. And there's so many tools and interventions that you can actually use and exercises that when it comes to this, people just get so fed up with shame that they're at the point where it's like, all right, I'm going to step up. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to assert my boundaries. I'm going to communicate them. And I'm going to tell people what I do and I don't like sexually. And those are the type of people that I help in sexual confidence coaching. The ones that want to be motivated, take the next steps, not feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm questioning myself in these things, or am I bad for wanting this? Am I bad for liking that? Am I bad for this, that, whatever? And no, and for anybody who needs to watch this, like your sexuality is normal, okay? I'm gonna say that again. Your sexuality is normal. And no, this is not therapy, me going live or anything like that. This is just one of those things that we get so anxious about and stressed about. Am I normal? Is this normal? Is that normal? It's like, oh my gosh, let's validate ourselves here for a hot minute and say my sexuality is normal, eh, baby, okay? And so it was really interesting on my YouTube channel here when I actually started doing the sex tarot readings. You all loved that. You definitely like kicked in this energy like spiritually with me to open up the conversation about sex in a way that feels really good and to give you all something with these energy reads and tangible feedbacks here, okay? So there's a lot to kind of think about when you think about sex, sexuality, and your confidence for yourself here too. So there's just a lot of things. I've currently been practicing sex therapy since 2018, so 6 years. That has been my niche, my bread, my butter, my baby. I have studied lots about attachment and relationships and so many different things with psychology that I just love it. And the things that people don't actually realize when it comes to sex and sexual wellness or confidence, like 70% of that is related to your mind or your mental health, and 20% of that is actually related to physical health and wellness. So it's really good, or 30%, my bad, math. Like I said, I'm not a math person, y'all. But this is something where I wanted to share that statistic with you because it is just clear as day, how much sex relates to our mind and relates to our energy and the things that we are saying here overall. Hello, Timothy says, hello, Jackie just subbed and liked first visit with you. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad, Tim, that you found this. This is me just going live today, doing a personal vlog for my channel and my Shameless Squad. So I'm happy to welcome you and invite you into my Shameless Squad too. Definitely feel free to send this video for anybody watching or watching the replay to someone that could, you know, listen or learn or just want to hear this shamelessly sexy message of like, she's a sex therapist and she's done this work and, you know, she's talking about these things when it comes to sexual confidence here overall. So one of the biggest things that people don't realize though when it comes to building sexual confidence is we do need to break down shame, and we do need to take shame one step at a time. And because there's not tons and tons and tons and tons of books written by lived experience, learned experience, and heard experience, there's a lot of research out there on shame, and a lot of the tools and interventions out there don't include a lot of people or all. And so I've been someone who has written up, like, I have like a 500+ manual, y'all, on like shame tools and interventions and stuff. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that in the future, but I am going to be incorporating it a lot more in my women's sexual confidence coaching programs here. So this is something too that a lot of people don't realize, like shame can be brought up with sex, even if parents, caregivers, grandparents, or teachers, or people that were supposed to actually give you proper sex education growing up didn't. And so then that can internalize and manifest externally in regards of the relationships that you might be in with partners, partner, spouse, whatever sex, and how that changes over the lifespan for you, because sexuality is fluid here. So definitely make sure you watch my Mental Health Monday videos, because I've been doing a lot around like shame, different behaviors, how to spot this, shameful versus shameless communication, how sex and shame tie together. And there's some really great tips in there that are just completely free to anybody on YouTube here. Or again, if you want to share that information with someone else, I definitely invite you to do so. Hello, 3 in the chat, whoever is there. But I just wanted to share that there's a lot of tidbits and information that just really unveil like how shame shows up in sex. And for me, like someone who has seen a lot of complex trauma, seen a lot of shame, manipulation, abuse tactics as a child growing up, I really had to undo a lot of some patterns that I saw that were unhealthy in relationship dynamics. And you bet your booty that shit comes up in sex too. And so this is something that I want to share with all of you. Who the hell am I? What the hell do I do? And who is like, she's like a sex therapist over here, but like she hasn't even shared her story with us, YouTube. What? So I definitely wanted to be vulnerable, honest, and share with you, YouTube fam, a little bit about me and my shamelessly sexy story about how I became a sex therapist. So definitely, if you want to know more about what I actually did, all the different steps to become a certified sex therapist, and why I don't recommend it. For me, I personally don't recommend it. And for aspiring certified sex therapist, I don't recommend it. It's a lot. So I'm going to be sharing that more in a live later. And I'm going to be shamelessly honest with my experience in regards of what I went through and I chose to go through. So I just want to preface that with, I'm not claiming a victim mindset or anything like that. No, it was just 9 years hard work. And was it worth it? I don't know at the end of the day. So y'all definitely have to hit subscribe on my channel here. Be a part of my Shameless Squad. If you want the shameless tea next time, baby, when I do a vlog in the future of how I became a certified sex therapist, all the steps I had to take, and why I don't recommend it overall. There's pros and cons to it. So we're going to talk about that in the future. But let me know how you're feeling about this vlog. If you liked this, if you resonated with anything, definitely let me know in the comments below. Like this video, even if you enjoyed me doing this too. It's completely free to you, and it just helps me know that I should keep going and growing this channel and talking about all the things here, okay? And as always, thank you so much, Shameless Squad, for your support, your community. You are so awesome. I know YouTube in 2025 has so many beautiful new community features that are going to be coming in. So I'm just so excited to be able to share in that with you and continuously grow this shamelessly sexy, authentic, and honest community here. Oh, thank you for the 9 likes, all of you. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate you. And Tim says, bravo for your courage. Thank you, Tim. I have been wavering back and forth whether or not to actually like share some of the stuff that goes on and in and out of the, therapy field and realm, being a therapist and also like having gone to therapy here. And I'm just going to share some of my own experiences with that in the future because I just hope that it helps. And I also hope that it helps, be it therapists in the field, clients thinking about going to therapy, just watch out for some different types of things and also know that there's a lot that goes into these things too, and just sharing, is this worth it? Is it not? So again, thank you all for in the chat here. I appreciate you. Thank you for liking this video. Definitely hit subscribe, and reads will be back later this week. I'm thinking Wednesday and Thursday for tarot and energy reads here over all my channels. So definitely hit that notification bell too, boo. Thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned for more.